The night air in Los Angeles hummed with excitement. Outside the glowing entrance of a luxury rooftop lounge, paparazzi lenses glimmered like diamonds in the dark. Every time a black SUV pulled up, the clicking of cameras became louder, the shouts of photographers sharper. The crowd already sensed that something big was about to unfold. From the first car stepped Kylie Jenner. Her velvet black gown shimmered beneath the floodlights, hugging her frame with a mix of elegance and power. Diamonds afloat to ears caught every flash, and her sleek ponytail gave her a look that was both bold and untouchable. She didn't rush. Kylie walked with the calm of someone who knew the world was watching her every move. Behind her, her bodyguards created a wall of control, but nothing could quiet the gasp from fans pressed against the barriers. Kylie! Kylie! Over here! Voices screamed, phones raised, flashes exploding. She tilted her chin slightly, gifting the cameras a smile that felt.
The night air in Los Angeles hummed with excitement. Outside the glowing entrance of a luxury rooftop lounge, paparazzi lenses glimmered like diamonds in the dark. Every time a black SUV pulled up, the clicking of cameras became louder, the shouts of photographers sharper. The crowd already sensed that something big was about to unfold. From the first car stepped Kylie Jenner. Her velvet black gown shimmered beneath the floodlights, hugging her frame with a mix of elegance and power. Diamonds at her ears caught every flash, and her sleek ponytail gave her a look that was both bold and untouchable. She didn't rush. Kylie walked with the calm of someone who knew the world was watching her every move. Behind her, her bodyguards created a wall of control, but nothing could quiet the gasps from fans pressed against the barriers. Kylie! Kylie, over here! Voices screamed, phones raised, flashes exploding. She tilted her chin slightly, gifting the cameras a smile that felt rehearsed yet mysterious, enough to make headlines by morning. Just minutes later, another luxury car slid to a stop. Out stepped Hailey Bieber. Dressed in a silver satin slip dress that glowed like moonlight, she looked ethereal, fragile yet fierce. Her blonde hair fell in waves over her shoulders, and the minimalist diamonds around her neck only sharpened her allure. The paparazzi frenzy doubled. For months, rumors had whispered about distance between the two women. Tabloids had written about subtle unfollows, cold stares at events, and bestie drama that fans dissected online like detectives. Tonight, however, the truth seemed ready to step into the open. Kylie and Hailey's eyes met across the velvet carpet. The world seemed to pause. The clicking of cameras slowed into a rhythm, like a heartbeat holding its breath. The crowd murmured, sensing this was no ordinary night. Would they smile? Would they ignore each other? Would the rumors of rivalry explode into proof? Then, in a moment that made every flash go blinding white, Kylie lifted her hand. Hailey's lips curved into a grin, and she moved forward. The two embraced in front of everyone, paparazzi, fans, reporters. Their hug wasn't brief or cold. It was warm, dramatic, and deliberate. A performance, perhaps, or maybe something more. Phones went wild. Twitter hashtags began to trend instantly. Besties Reunited appeared on feeds worldwide. Reporters shouted questions, desperate to capture a soundbite. Was this a truce, a show? Or a new chapter in their glittering friendship? Inside the lounge, whispers spread before the women even walked through the doors. Guests leaned toward each other, clutching cocktails, buzzing with anticipation. Some called it a stunt. Others insisted it was real. Kylie and Hailey, arm in arm, stepped into the golden light of the room. Their reunion had already taken over the night. But what no one knew yet was that this was just the beginning, because behind the cameras and sparkling gowns, secrets were waiting to spill. The night had only started. And with it, so had the drama. The lounge glittered like a jewel box high above Los Angeles. Chandeliers spilled golden light across velvet sofas, and chilled champagne bottles sat in silver buckets, ready to be poured. The room smelled of roses and expensive perfume, a mixture of elegance and temptation. Music pulsed softly, not loud enough to drown the whispers already circulating the crowd. Kylie Jenner and Hailey Bieber walked in together, their arms brushing, the faintest smiles dancing on their lips. For the cameras outside, they had already written the headline of the night. But inside, where Hollywood's elite mingled, the real story was still unwritten. A waiter rushed forward holding a silver tray of champagne flutes. Kylie accepted hers gracefully, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Hailey took hers too, but her eyes were restless, glancing from group to group. It was clear they both knew every gaze was on them. "Did you see that hug outside?" Someone whispered near the bar. "They're back as besties," another voice murmured. "Or maybe they're just playing everyone." Even from across the room, they could feel the weight of curiosity. The reunion was too perfect, too cinematic. Everyone wanted to know, was this real forgiveness or a carefully planned scene? The first test came almost immediately. A celebrity stylist, known for spreading gossip as fast as she adjusted hemlines, approached them with a smile too wide to be sincere. "So good to see you both together again," she said, her words dripping with sugar and suspicion. Kylie tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "It's a good night," she replied, her voice smooth. Hailey, however, leaned in, her smile bright but her grip on her glass tightening. "Sometimes best friends just need space," she said softly, leaving the words to float in the air like perfume. That single line was enough to set off murmurs across the lounge. Space? Was that an admission of a rift? Or just a clever way to dodge questions? Meanwhile, in one corner of the room, a group of journalists had gathered, pretending to sip cocktails while typing furiously on their phones. Twitter was already ablaze. Posts read, "Did Kylie and Hailey just confirm the fight rumors?" And "That hug looked staged, don't tell me otherwise." But the women were not finished with their performance. Kylie guided Hailey toward the center of the lounge where a live jazz band was playing. Under the lights, they looked untouchable, glamorous statues carved from confidence and diamonds. Hailey laughed loudly at something Kylie whispered, and the sound cut through the tension in the room. For a moment, the performance felt almost real, almost natural. Yet cracks began to show. As Kylie leaned back against the bar, Hailey's smile slipped for the briefest second. Her eyes flicked toward the entrance. Someone had arrived. A tall figure, dressed in a sharp navy suit, walked in. The room reacted instantly. Phones lifted discreetly. Fans gasped under their breath. He was no ordinary guest. He was someone both Kylie and Hailey knew well, someone tied to both of their stories in ways that the tabloids would feast on if given the chance. Kylie's fingers tightened around her glass, though her face never lost its calm mask. Hailey, on the other hand, shifted uncomfortably, her hand brushing her hair as if to hide nerves. The man smiled faintly as he approached, cutting through the crowd like a shadow with purpose. Conversations dimmed. The band's music seemed softer now, as if even the instruments wanted to listen. "Kylie, Hailey," he said, his voice steady but layered with something unsaid. Their reunion had captured the cameras. But this moment, was about to capture the truth. The lounge seemed to hold its breath as the man in the navy suit walked closer. The gold light from the chandeliers flickered across his sharp jawline and slicked back hair. Every step echoed, not in sound, but in the reaction it stirred. Heads turned, whispers buzzed like electricity, and champagne glasses trembled slightly in nervous hands. This was no ordinary arrival. This was Justin Bieber, Hailey's husband, Kylie's longtime friend. And tonight, the unexpected storm in the middle of their Besties reunion. Hailey's smile froze, caught between pride and discomfort. She had not expected him so soon. Kylie, ever the queen of composure, adjusted her diamond bracelet and straightened her shoulders. The paparazzi outside didn't know he was here yet, but inside, the tension thickened instantly. "Justin," Hailey said, her voice soft, trying to sound casual, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. She stepped forward, kissed his cheek, but it looked more like an obligation than affection. Kylie gave him a small nod, her expression unreadable. "Didn't know you'd be here tonight," she said, her words polite, yet edged with curiosity. Justin smiled faintly, but it wasn't his usual playful grin. "I didn't know either," he replied. Plans change. His eyes swept the room, catching the subtle stares of onlookers. Everyone was waiting to see what this triangle would reveal. The band played on, their instruments suddenly sounding like a soundtrack to a scene nobody could script. Hailey sipped her champagne, her hands trembling slightly. Kylie placed her glass down, her movements slow, deliberate, every inch of her body screaming control. From the far side of the lounge, the whispers began. "Didn't Kylie and Justin have history?" one voice said. "Hailey looks uncomfortable," another chimed in. Social media was already exploding as news leaked that Justin had joined the party. The hashtags multiplied. Bieber twist, bestie drama, triangle tension. Justin leaned closer, lowering his voice, though everyone nearby strained to hear. So, besties again? His tone was calm, almost mocking, as if testing the waters. Hailey's cheeks flushed. Of course. We've always been, she replied quickly, a little too quickly. Kylie only smirked as though the question amused her. Some stories are more interesting than the truth, she said, her voice carrying a sharp elegance that drew gasps from those within earshot. Hailey's grip on Justin's arm tightened, almost a warning. The moment was becoming dangerous, not just for her reputation, but for their carefully constructed reunion. A photographer, bold and reckless, tried sneaking a shot through the glass window from outside. The flash burst across the room, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect, or more damning. Justin, Kylie, and Hailey stood in a perfect triangle, their expressions loaded with tension. The photo was captured in less than a second, but it was enough. By the time the guests blinked, that image was already being uploaded, already spreading across Instagram and Twitter. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. Some guests laughed nervously, others leaned in closer, waiting for a slip of the tongue, a dramatic spark that could ignite the tabloids. Hailey tried to regain control, brushing her hair back, forcing a smile. Let's not make this a spectacle, she whispered, but her voice trembled. Justin's eyes, however, glimmered with something unreadable. Perhaps mischief, perhaps regret. Kylie, with her flawless confidence, lifted her glass again, her lips curving into a sly smile as if she already knew tomorrow's headlines. And then, just as the tension reached its peak, another surprise entrance shook the room. A familiar figure in a shimmering gold gown walked in, her heels clicking like thunder against the marble floor. The murmurs swelled again. This wasn't part of the plan, and her arrival promised chaos. Selena Gomez. The room erupted in gasps. Phones shot into the air. Champagne glasses nearly shattered. If Kylie and Hailey's reunion was the headline, and Justin's entrance was the twist, Selena's arrival was the explosion. The air in the lounge shifted the moment Selena Gomez appeared. Her gold gown shimmered like fire under the chandeliers, the sequins catching every flicker of light. The neckline plunged with bold confidence, while her long dark hair fell effortlessly across her shoulders. She didn't just walk into the room, she owned it. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. The jazz band faltered, their instruments momentarily slipping as though even music bowed to her presence. Phones rose discreetly in trembling hands, capturing every detail, the gown, the diamond earrings, the way Selena's smile held a mystery that begged to be decoded. Kylie glanced up from her champagne, her eyes narrowing for only a fraction of a second before smoothing back into calm control. Hailey's face, however, betrayed her instantly. Her lips parted, her breath caught, her body stiffened. Selena walked toward the trio without hesitation. Her heels clicked like the countdown of a clock, each step slicing through the heavy silence. Guests leaned forward, the tension stretching so tight it was almost unbearable. Selena, Justin said, his voice low but loaded with recognition. He took a small step forward, his hand twitching as if unsure whether to offer a hug or keep his distance. Selena's eyes flicked to him briefly, then shifted to Hailey. The smile on her lips remained, but it was razor sharp, like velvet wrapped around a blade. Hailey, she said simply, her tone soft but cutting enough to make everyone nearby shiver. The reunion of Kylie and Hailey had been a staged spectacle. Justin's arrival had added a dangerous layer. But Selena's entrance? It was chaos wrapped in elegance. Whispers raced through the crowd like wildfire. Why is Selena here? This is about to blow up. She looks like she planned this. Kylie leaned back against the bar, watching with the poise of a queen, observing her court descend into drama. Her eyes glinted with amusement. To her, this was entertainment, another chapter that would dominate headlines. Hailey, however, was crumbling beneath her glossy exterior. Her fingers clutched her champagne glass so tightly that the stem threatened to snap. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, her voice low but audible enough for the nearest guests to catch. Selena tilted her head, her smile never fading. "I was invited," she replied simply. Her gaze slid across the room, resting for a moment on the flashing cameras at the window. "And it looks like I came at the right time." The photographers outside were in a frenzy, climbing on barriers to get a better angle. Through the glass, their flashes created a strobe effect, turning the scene inside into something cinematic. Three women, all icons in their own right, locked in a triangle of history, rivalry, and unresolved tension. Justin cleared his throat, trying to break the moment. "This isn't the place," he muttered, but his words held no power. The place didn't matter. The world was already watching. Selena stepped closer to the bar, brushing past Kylie with a nod of acknowledgement. "You look beautiful tonight," she said smoothly. Kylie smiled, her composure unshaken, and replied, "So do you." "But then you knew you would." The exchange drew gasps. Compliment or subtle strike? Nobody could tell. Hailey's eyes darted between them, panic rising. She knew the cameras outside would twist this moment into 100 different stories, each headline sharper than the last. Her carefully crafted reunion with Kylie was unraveling, and Selena's gold dress was the spark setting everything ablaze. In the corner, a well-known gossip blogger whispered into her phone, "This is it. This is the story of the year." Her livestream was already pushing updates to thousands of viewers. Captions screaming, "Selena crashes Kylie and Hailey's bestie reunion. Chaos ensues." Then came the twist nobody expected. Selena raised her glass, her smile softening into something almost genuine. "Why don't we toast?" she suggested. To best friends, past and present, the room went dead silent. Hailey's knuckles whitened around her glass. Kylie's eyes sparkled with intrigue. Justin shifted uncomfortably, torn between loyalty and history. As the three women lifted their glasses, the flashes outside became blinding. Millions of fans across the world would see the moment within minutes. But behind those clinking glasses, one truth lingered. This wasn't a celebration. This was the beginning of a storm, and when the glasses touched, the sound was more than crystal. It was a warning. The crystal glasses touched, their chimes slicing through the lounge like a blade wrapped in silk. For a heartbeat, everyone in the room froze, as though they were part of a painting. Three women in the center of it all, their smiles picture perfect, their eyes burning with secrets. But perfection cracks. Hailey's hand shook ever so slightly as she lowered her glass. The golden champagne swirled inside like liquid fire threatening to spill. Kylie's smirk widened, controlled, practiced, the look of a woman who knew the cameras outside had already captured the moment. Selena, however, did not flinch. Her gaze lingered on Hailey, steady and unyielding. Her golden gown shimmering like it had been chosen specifically to blind everyone in the room. From the bar came the whispers, louder now, impossible to contain. "Did you see Hailey's face?" Selena's toast wasn't about friendship. It was about dominance. This is history unfolding. A bold influencer live-streamed from a corner, her phone angled just enough to capture the scene without being thrown out by security. Within seconds, TikTok comments were flooding in. "Kylie is loving this drama. Selena owns the room. Hailey looks like she's about to break." As the glasses touched down on the marble bar, Selena leaned in, her lips barely moving, but her words sharp enough to slice through the music. "You've built a life out of pretending, Hailey. But pretending doesn't last forever." Hailey's breath hitched. Her polished facade cracked, just for a moment, but long enough for those closest to notice. Kylie raised her brow, sipping her champagne slowly, eyes glittering like she was watching a private show. Justin's jaw tightened. He stepped between them slightly, his hand brushing Hailey's back as if to shield her, though the gesture only highlighted her discomfort. "Selena," he said, his tone low, warning, but Selena wasn't finished. She shifted her gaze to Kylie, her smile curving into something more mischievous than kind. "And you, always the queen of headlines. Tell me, Kylie, are you here for Hailey? Or for the cameras?" The words landed like sparks in dry grass. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kylie's smirk remained, but her silence was louder than any reply. Her eyes narrowed just slightly, the first sign that Selena's blade had cut close. The jazz band tried to keep the mood alive, but their rhythm felt off, nervous, like even the music couldn't stand the heat. Then it happened. A waiter stumbled, his silver tray clattering to the floor. The crash shattered the silence, and in the chaos, Hailey's champagne spilled across her satin dress, staining the silver fabric with sticky gold. Phones flashed. Guests gasped. It looked like disaster. Hailey's lips trembled as she dabbed at her dress, her movements frantic, her perfect evening unraveling. Selena tilted her head as though the universe itself was helping her point. Kylie reached for a napkin, but not before murmuring, just loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. Accidents happen. But sometimes they're just a reflection of the truth. The remark was like gasoline on fire. Guests whispered louder. Social media exploded. Memes were already forming. Hailey's chest rose and fell, her composure slipping like sand through her fingers. "I'm done," she whispered, her voice cracking. Though whether it was to Justin, Kylie, or herself, no one knew. Selena smiled faintly, victorious in silence. Kylie adjusted her gown, unfazed, her eyes darting toward the cameras outside. She knew this image would dominate every feed by dawn. Justin stood frozen, caught between three women, his face pale under the golden lights, and then came the most shocking twist of the night. From across the room, a Hollywood producer, one known for leaking secrets when it suited him, lifted his phone, grinning. His post appeared online seconds later. Breaking, Kylie, Hailey, and Selena seen an explosive confrontation tonight. But here's the real bombshell. An insider says one of them is about to drop news that will shake the industry. The caption went viral instantly. People online speculated wildly. Was it a new collaboration? A betrayal? A confession? Inside the lounge, the three women stood in tense silence, their every breath being dissected by millions. Each of them knew the toast had been just the spark. The real fire was about to start. The lounge was no longer a party. It was a battlefield dressed in velvet and champagne. Every whisper was a weapon, every glance a strike. Kylie leaned casually against the bar, her face unreadable but her eyes glittering like she knew the cameras would crown her queen by morning. Hailey sat stiffly on a stool, the stain on her dress refusing to disappear, her composure cracking in slow motion. Selena stood tall, her gold gown blazing like firelight, unbothered, unyielding, feeding off the storm she had stirred. And then, the producer's post hit the room. Phones buzzed everywhere. Guests pulled their screens closer, their eyes widening as the caption scrolled across. An insider says one of them is about to drop news that will shake the industry. The crowd gasped. All eyes snapped back to the trio. Tension tightened like a rope around the room, pulling until nobody could breathe. Kylie placed her glass down slowly, deliberately, as though she were about to step into a boardroom rather than a gossip nightmare. "So," she said, her voice calm but cutting, "which one of us is about to make history?" Selena tilted her head, smiling faintly. "History tends to reveal itself, Kylie. No need to rush." Hailey finally spoke, her voice trembling but sharp with desperation. "This isn't a game," she hissed. "Not everything has to be played out in front of strangers." Her eyes darted nervously toward Justin, who looked pale, caught between loyalty, fear, and exhaustion. But Selena wasn't finished. She took one slow step closer, her golden gown brushing the marble floor like liquid sunlight. "Some truths don't hide," she whispered, her gaze burning through Hailey. "They wait, until they can't be silenced." The words sliced through the air. Guests gasped. The influencers live streaming whispered frantically to their audiences. The comment sections exploded. "What's the secret? Selena knows something. Hailey looks terrified." And then Hailey's phone buzzed, loud, distinct. The vibration against the marble bar echoed like a drumbeat. She snatched it quickly, but not before the nearest camera caught the screen. A notification from an unnamed tabloid. Bold and brutal. Exclusive. Private letters reveal cracks in Hailey's marriage, connections to someone very unexpected. The crowd froze. Justin's face turned white. Selena's smile widened ever so slightly. Kylie's lips curved into the faintest smirk, like a chess player watching her opponent stumble into checkmate. Hailey's hands shook violently as she shoved the phone into her purse, her voice breaking. "This is lies. All of it. Lies." But the conviction in her voice was paper thin. Justin reached for her, but his hesitation was visible. That half-second pause was enough for the cameras, enough for the rumors, enough to feed the fire. Selena leaned back, victorious without lifting a finger. Kylie tilted her head, her diamonds catching the light, her smirk silently saying, "I told you the cameras would choose me tonight." The room buzzed louder, a fever pitch of speculation, gossip, and disbelief. Security began ushering people away, but it was too late. The story had already written itself, carried out of the lounge by thousands of phones, millions of eyes, and just when it seemed the night had reached its peak, the power flickered. The chandeliers dimmed, the music stuttered, and the room fell into an eerie, golden half-darkness. In that hush, one voice rang out from the back, sharp, dramatic, unforgettable. Maybe it's time someone finally told the truth. Every head whipped toward the shadowed figure at the doorway. Phones rose instantly. The cameras flashed again, frantic, hungry. The cliffhanger had arrived. And tomorrow, the world would wake up to the biggest headline yet. The end. Or just the beginning.